I think we will move on to question number 6, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. My question is to the Minister for Economic Development and asks, has he received any advice that a future government could dismantle the SkyCity Convention Centre deal without paying compensation? If so, what was that advice?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, yes, and I have to say to the member this is not new news. As the member may be aware from her Laws 101 classes, in New Zealand's Constitution, Parliament is sovereign and can pass any law it likes. I don't think this is news today or any other day. Now, whether it's a good idea for one Parliament to start ripping up the contracts with outside organisations entered into by previous Parliaments, that's entirely another question, as any number of contracts extend past the life of just one Parliament. However, that doesn't change the fact that Parliament is always sovereign.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Has the Minister warned SkyCity that to the possibility that a future government could legislate to protect the public from the deal that he has worked out with SkyCity, and that SkyCity won't receive compensation?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Well, Mr Speaker, this was discussed in the public arena before the agreement was signed. And this is not news. And I don't know why the member thinks that this is some great revelation. This is just reality. It's strange.
Point of order, sir.
Point of order. Order! I have a point of order from Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. I asked him whether he had alerted SkyCity to the possibility. He has not answered that question.
Well, I think between that answer and the previous answer he did. He just said it's common knowledge that a government has sovereign right. If a government in the future wants to change anything, they can do so. So he hasn't specifically notified SkyCity of that.
So
Further supplementary?
Point of order.
Order, Mr Speaker.
Point of order.
I do believe that was a reasonably direct question from the member asking whether or not the Minister had alerted SkyCity. You put two answers together. That's very difficult for the opposition in terms of what's on the record of the House.
Order. No, I'm quite comfortable with my ruling. The Minister attempted to address the question satisfactorily. It may not be to the member's satisfaction. That is happening relatively frequently in this place. My job... Order! My job is to see that the question has been addressed, and to my satisfaction it has been. Further supplementary?
Thank you. Yes, Mr
Supplementary
Speaker, thank you.
question, Metiria Turei.
Does the Minister both accept and agree that future governments have every right to legislate to overturn a deal that effectively sells our laws to the highest bidder and causes harm to the wider community?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I'm sorry, I disagree completely with the premise of that member's question. The arrangement, if she cared to look at it, is in exchange for some regulatory concessions in return for the building of a $400 million convention centre for Auckland and New Zealand. So yes, a subsequent Parliament could rip that up and jeopardise the 1,000 jobs in construction and the 800 jobs in operating that particular convention centre. It could do that, but I think it would be marked by the public as irresponsible. I think it would be marked by the public as, frankly, scurrilous in terms of the approach it would take, and I think it would be very careful before it did it.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Does the Minister think that a government which sells the gambling laws to a casino in exchange for building a convention centre is a morally compromised government?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, no, I don't agree with the member, and if she thinks that, she should really look in the mirror, because the Green Party were absolutely silent when a similar arrangement was struck by the Labor government back in 2001, when the deal was done, that the Minister of Tourism on the day lauded the deal, the Prime Minister lauded the deal, and the Greens were as quiet as church mice.
Order. Supplementary question, the Honourable Shane Jones.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Minister. Why were officials from Treasury, Health and Internal Affairs muzzled and forbidden from providing advice about gambling harm to the Select Committee dealing with the Convention Centre Bill?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I think the workings of the Select Committee are over to the Select Committee. I have no responsibility for them.
Point of order.
Point of order.
Sir, I am asking a question to the Minister responsible for the stewardship and the sponsorship of a bill.
Order. And the Minister responded that he had no responsibility for that. That's the Minister's answer. That's for the Minister to determine. But he quite emphatically said, well, that's not my responsibility. Supplementary question, Metiria. Order. Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. Would the current compensation provisions in the deal be triggered if SkyCity was required to use pre-commitment and player tracking technology across all the electronic gambling machines, in a way that reduced its pokie machine revenue? Would the compensation provisions apply?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, that's a hypothetical question, but in relation to the legislation as drafted, the Parliament has the right to regulate gambling and to deal with problem gambling in a way it sees fit, and that would not trigger compensation in that regard. So I think the member is raising a hypothetical issue in terms of the measure she talks about it, but the Parliament does have the right to regulate gambling and regulate problem gaming in the way it sees fit, and that's not changed by this legislation.
Supplementary.
Supplementary question, Metiria Turei.
Will the Minister release the Crown Law advice sought by the officials advising the Commerce Select Committee when, as those officials referred to and paraphrased that advice in their departmental report, said they had attached that advice to the departmental report and then subsequently advised that was a big mistake?
Honourable Stephen Joyce.
Mr Speaker, I think the tradition is that the Crown holds its legal advice, so if it needs it at any stage, it's able to act on it.
Question number 7.